So I came across an absolutely fascinating Medrash Tehillim that I thought I would share, and it has to do. It's in Tehillim Samech Ches on the pasuk Befaris Shaddai Melachim Ba, and it has to do with a connection of between Sinai, Har Sinai, and Har Hamoriah, which I haven't seen a connection before. And I thought I would read through it because it's so fascinating. So and give my thoughts. So it says Befaris Shaddai Melachim Ba, when you spreads out, when Shin Daled Yud spreads out the kings within it, and it says that what does this refer to? Kivin Yisrael Yoshvin Uvoskim b'Torah, that when Yisrael are sitting and toiling in Torah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mashre Shechina So B'neihem, the Holy One blessed be He, dwells His Shechina upon them. So that's Befares Shin Daled Yud, when Hashem spreads out upon them, Melachim Ba, that the kings in it or in them. As we're going to see, the Melachim are the Talmidei Chachamim who are studying Torah, and that's Befaris Shin Daled Yud, that you have the Prisa, the spreading out over them of the Shechina. So the next part of the pasuk after this is Tashlik Bet Salmon, the snow in Salmon, and the simple meaning of the pasuk may be snow upon the mountains, because as we're going to see, this is a pasuk that talks about the mountains who wanted the Torah given upon them. But here it says like this: that if the halacha is missing from them like the shadow of death, I guess if you don't know the halacha, it's as if you're in the shadow of death until you learn it, until you figure it out. HaKadosh Baruch Hu mal b'nao mevarer elehem. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu whitens it and clarifies it for them. So that's Tashlik B'Salmon. The Tashlik, he makes it white when you're in the shadow of death. How do we know that this Torah scholars are called kings? Like it says, it says the kings are ruling within me. The next part of the pasuk is Har Elokim Har Bashan, the mountain of Elokim, the mountain of Bashan. So it says like this: Bashan, it implies that Bashan is Basham, came from there, that the mountains came from other places in order to become or have the claim of Har Elokim. Rabbi Nassan Omer, Kivin Shebikesh HaKadosh Baruch Hu Litain Torah LeYisrael, that Rabbi Nassan says once HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to give the Torah to Israel, Ba Carmel Ma'aspamia. So the Mount Carmel came from Aspamia. Aspamia might be an Safum. It could be Spain, but it also could be, it can be translated as in Safun, a hidden island off, or some place in the Iye Hayam, a place out in the boonies. The Tavor Mebes Elim, and Tavor, the mountain Tavor, came from Elim, which seemingly is Persia. So this is what it says in Yirmiyahu. This is, as I am alive, said the King Hashem Tzvaos Shmo, Kisavor Beharim, that just like Tavor amongst the mountains, Carmel Bayam Yavo, and Carmel came from the sea. So it says that Carmel came from the sea. It says the pasuk clearly in Yirmiyahu, that Carmel came from the sea. And it might also, this pasuk doesn't clearly say it might only be Carmel. It's in continuation to Tavor. It might be Tavor Beharim and Carmel, also in Harim, Bayam Yavo, came from the sea. It might refer to both of them, that they both, so to speak, came across the sea to have the Torah given on them, or they even if they Tavor didn't come across the sea, because if it was coming from Persia, that was across land to the Sinai desert, I suppose. But it was also Yavo. At any rate, Ze Omer Nikresi Har Tavor. So this one says, I'm called Mount Tabor. So Tabor can also mean a concept of Tfua, can be a concept of growing things. It's pleasant upon me that the Shekhinah should rest. Because I'm higher than all the mountains. Now, and the waters of the flood did not come upon me. Now, if you say it's Har Tavor, as we know in Israel, in the north of Israel, so we could say we know the waters of the flood did not fall in Israel. But if it's possible to say that this is when the Torah says that the waters went over the highest mountains, al Rashei Harim, it wasn't referring to the very highest ones or the very highest one. And in this case, we might even say that this may refer to Everest or something like that, the really high mountains outside of Israel. This could even imply that the floods did not go on top of them, because practically they have a much higher elevation than the land of Israel, topographically. So, especially if we're talking about the highest mountains, so Tavor doesn't seem to be the highest mountains in the world. So this actually might explain the fact that a mountain from somewhere else, the highest one, came and claimed that I should be the mountain because I'm the tallest. This may imply that wherever that highest mountain is, it came. So that's just my thoughts on it. Then Ze Omer Ani Nikresi Har Carmel, and then this one says I'm called Mount Carmel. Carmel also is an idea of ripened produce and fruits. So upon me, it's pleasant that the Shekhinah should rest. Since I was placed in the middle, like from Lashon Emtza, Nismatzasi, I was spread out in the middle. And upon me, they traversed the sea. Now this is fascinating. That to say that Har Carmel was placed in the middle of the splitting of the sea, and that's what we walked upon to cross the sea. We crossed on Har Carmel. That implies that during the splitting of the sea, Har Carmel was moved to be under our feet. And that's why it says, I was in the middle, in between the waves, in between. And so that's a very interesting idea of being in the middle, and that's its claim. And it's not so different than Har Tavor saying that the sea, the flood did not affect me. I was also dry when it was all wet around. And Har Carmel says, I was also dry in the middle. At any rate, he says like this. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Kodesh Baruch Hu says, you already were puzzle, no good in front of me because of the haughtiness, the highness that was in you. Not the haughtiness, as the Rebbe explains in his. This is where I got this. The Rebbe in Bahar, in Sicha and Bahar, in the end of the Sicha of in Chelik Aleph, he brings this Medrash Tehillim. This is where I found it. At any rate, so the Rebbe explains there that when we're talking about if there was just haughtiness, they would not have had a claim to have the Torah given on them. There would have been a negative, not a positive claim. So there must be a exaltedness and holiness. At any rate, Kulchem Sulim B'Lefanai, all of you are no good in front of me. Amar Lefanov. So they said in front of him, V'chim Masu Panim Yesh Lefanecha. Is there some kind of favoritism in front of you? O Shema Ata Mekapeach Escharenu. Or maybe you're going to not withhold our reward. So the Holy One must be, he says, so because you toiled in front of me for my honor. So this implies perhaps what it mentioned before, that the fact that the floodwaters didn't reach it, or means that it was pure. Otherwise the flood would have needed to purify it. Or the fact that it became the dry land for the Jewish people as they crossed. So that was some kind of effort that they made for Hashem's honor, maybe. I'm guessing, because it doesn't say what it was that they did for his honor. Or maybe the fact that they came and wanted the Torah given, and that they traveled from where their place was. That was the honor that they did to be in order so that the Torah might be given on them. So we'll give you a reward. Hare nasati lahar tavor b'tshua Israel b'yemei devora. So I give to Har Tavor a saving to Israel in the days of Devorah. Shnei lechu mashachta b'Har Tavor. It says, go and call to people to gather on Mount Tavor. All right. And so that's as Har Tavor is in Israel. But you were saying here that really Har Tavor came from Aspamia. So really, the fact that it also remained in Israel was seemingly something special for it. Ubara Carmel Teshuel Eliyahu, and on Mount Carmel, a saving for Eliyahu, as is known. Shneimar, like it says, Vikpotz is called Israel, it's called Hanaviim El Har Carmel, that he gathered everyone to Har Carmel and did his miracle there. And when this happened, all of the mountains started complaining and shaking. It says that the mountains dripped in front of Hashem, or melted in front of Hashem. So the Holy One, he said, why are you tratzdun? And he's going to translate this. What does it mean, tratzdun? Lama tirtzu ladun. Why do you want to have a judgment? Why do you want to take a court case im Sinai, together with Sinai? Sinai got it. Why are you trying to complain about it? Why are you trying to make a judgment about this? Harim gavnunim atem kulchem. You are all harim gavnunim. What is harim gavnunim? Kamadas amar, like it says, ogi ben udak. Like the blemishes in the korbanos, if it has a blemish in its eye. So it says it just like that. That's gavnunim. So this is some of these points are brought in the Gemara like this, and this point here. Har Hamad Elokim l'shivto. The mountain that Elokim desired to dwell upon it. My desire is only in Sinai, that's lower than all of you. Shnei, like it says, Marom v'kadosh eshkon, the exalted and holy dwells, v'estekash ushval ruach, and the lowly, the humble and lowly of spirit. And it's also written, Kiram Havayik, that Hashem is exalted v'shafal yireim, but sees the lowly. And the high from afar, it's yeyeda. So yeyeda can actually mean like v'yoda b'hem anshe surkos, like he punished these other mountains, or the high ones from afar. They came, like we said, the other mountains came from afar, and he knew them, meaning he decided their judgment upon them. Yochel Yashav Sham L'Dori Doros. Maybe he'll dwell there for generations and generations. Talmud Lomer Af Havaya Yishkun L'Nentzach. So the Torah says even Hashem will dwell forever. So I guess it's a question: would Hashem there dwell there forever? That he brought his Shekhinah back upwards. So meaning, so the question is, dwelling there forever, meaning upon Sinai. Is Hashem going to dwell there upon Sinai forever? No, the Shekhinah went back up. So now here's another really interesting part. Amar Rabbi Yossi, Har Hamoriah nitlosh. Rabbi Yossi says, according to the Rebbe and the Sicha, this is Rabbi Yosef, the same one who said, Lo tisni anava di'ika ana. Don't say that there isn't humility anymore since I'm here. And he connects it to the idea of Har Sinai, who is high and low at the same time, and so forth. At any rate, so he says here that Har Hamoriah, similar to the other mountains of Tavor and Carmel, Har Hamoriah was pulled off of Har Hamoriah. Har Sinai came from Har Hamoriah. And he says, Kechala mi'isa, like a piece of dough, like challah from the dough. It's like it was part of Har Hamoriah, and it was pulled off of Har Hamoriah and placed in the desert for the Torah to be given on. Such a fascinating idea. That really they're one thing, Har Sinai and Har Hamoriah. And not only that, but the concept of challah is the choicest of the dough, the first of it. and that's the part you give to Hashem, which is like if you compare the dough to something we eat, something for us, and the chal is something for Hashem. So in that case, the Har Sinai is all kol kulo kadosh la Hashem. It's something that was the Torah, and no one's allowed to go on to it. No one was allowed to go on to Har Sinai, whereas Har Hamoriah were obligated to go on 3 times a year to the Beis Hamikdash. So that's something for us, whereas Har Sinai was, so to speak, for Hashem, and the Torah was given on it. Whereas as the Beis Hamikdash, Har Hamoriah is where our avoda is supposed to take place. So it's just such a fascinating comparison. And he says like this: from the place that Yitzchak Avinu was tied. So here you have the concept of the Rebbe says in the Sikha, it's a concept of Mesiras Nefesh. I heard in the Sikha that Avram Avinu, when Hashem told him, Lech Lecha, he was a king. All the nations gathered around and made him a king. And then when Hashem told him, Lech Lecha, go. So perhaps there's also a connection here with this, where there's a specific statement: move from where you are to go to Har Hamoriah, similar to those mountains, going from one place to the other, and that was the mitzvah and the humility of Avraham Avinu doing this without chakira. How do we know that Har Sinai will return to its place? Like it says, it will be proper, the mountain of the house of Hashem, at the head of the mountains. So, I'm not exactly sure how to translate this pasuk, but you could say that it's not nachon now because the mountain, part of it is not there. And when it returns, it'll be nachon. It'll be proper again. The mountain will have returned to it. The Har Sinai will have become reattached to Har Hamoriah. Or Barosh Harim can also imply this concept of the heads of the mountains with this idea of these high mountains that we're talking about here. It says, and it connects it here, it says, Elu Tavor. So it says like this, that this pasuk actually does refer to the other mountains. Elu Tavor Rekarmel V'Sinai V'Tzion. Heharim. Berosh Heharim, it says at the head of the mountains. Don't say Harim, say Hey Harim, the 5 mountains. These are Tavor and Carmel and Sinai and Sion. So it only lists 4. So maybe there's different explanations exactly what the 5th one is, or how it's 5, or maybe it's with the kollel. But it'll be correct, it'll be the highest, it'll be the pinnacle when Mashiach comes amongst the 5 mountains. This concept of Sinai and Sion, these 2 mountains together. It's interesting, in the beginning it calls it Sion, Hamoriah, and here it calls it Sion. And anyways, it finishes, Kolomar, Kaminyan Chamisha Chumshei Torah, like the 5 books of the Torah, and again that reconnects Sinai with the 5 books of the Torah, and how these mountains wanted to be part of the giving of the Torah, and Kimitzion Teitzei Torah. So you have all these concepts of the mountains where they wanted the Torah to be given on them, and in the end we see that the Torah is connected to all the mountains, not just to Sinai or Tzion, but also to Carmel and Tavor, that they represent the Chamisha Chumshei Torah. Anyways, that's the idea. Let me know what you think.